Hello and welcome to TFF Talks, the Football League special on this Sunday night at 7:20. I'm joined by some fantastic guests tonight. We'll move on to our panel. We've got several guests tonight that it's especially TFF Talks this week. There is going to be a normal episode tomorrow, but this week, tonight is a special. We'll move on to our panel. We've got several guests tonight that it's a special TFF Talks. It's a special one. Which is based on the Football League. So, like I say, we'll move on to our panel. Now, first up is Connor. Connor has been part of TFF just for over 1 year, part of TFF Non-League, and is a season ticket holder for Lincoln City. Connor, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just a bit ecstatic after today, after Forest stay up, which we'll move on in a minute to. Joining Connor on tonight's panel is Joe. Joe is a writer for TFF and a very happy Newcastle fan. Joe, how are you?
I am very happy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought I'm pleased for Newcastle winning it today. I thought they could do it, so I'm glad for them. Like I say, move on later to discuss as well. And finally on the panel tonight is Ashley. Ashley Thorpe is a writer, cameraman, and a long-suffering Peterborough United fan. Ashley, how are you?
Knackered, to be honest.
Yeah, same with me. After going on a crazy pitch invasion, we're going to bring Peterborough into it too on this debate. If you are watching live via the YouTube, keep your comments and remember to send them in either on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook and Twitter, all the Football Forecast or official TFF. First of all, we're on to our first topic tonight, which is the main topic from today, which is relegation in the Championship. So we'll start off with this. Obviously, a very busy day for the Championship today. Birmingham, Nottingham Forest and Blackburn went into the relegation battle today, with Blackburn at Brentford, Birmingham playing Bristol City and Forest at home to Ipswich Town. First of all, we'll start with Blackburn. Obviously, commiserations to them after they were relegated. They won, but because of other results with Forest and Birmingham, they still were sent down. We'll start with Ashley. Ashley, thoughts on Blackburn Rovers season? So, overall, and obviously getting relegated today.
Awful, really, for a team like that to be relegated with so much history. Well, they should be really up. Well, with a history behind them, they should be up there in the Championship, but obviously they've still got all the problems with the owners. Venkies aren't investing, so the playing squad's been rubbish, so they've gone down. Yeah,
and obviously talking about Blackburn, obviously their manager Tony Mowbray came in, obviously I think a few months back, and said to the press that he was going to try his best to keep Blackburn up. Obviously, Blackburn have been relegated. Do you think Tony Mowbray's done a good job, or has he failed in his first few months?
Tough one, really. I think he's failed because obviously the aim was to stay up, but they haven't. So
yeah, and obviously Blackburn relegated. We'll go to the other side. Blackburn are playing now, which was obviously Brentford. Now, Brentford, their season will go to Connor. Now, Connor, thoughts on Brentford's season? I know you're not a massive Championship fan, but if you can just squeeze a bit of information out, do you think Brentford have had a good season?
Brentford, yeah, I think they have. I mean, last year they did well, and they've done it again, so hopefully they can kick on to better things next season.
Yep, and we'll go to Joe now. Joe, do you think Blackburn will come straight back up from League One?
Depends on the ownership, I think. I think if the Venkies sort of get their act in gear and keep Tony Mowbray, who I think is a good appointment for them, I think they should be all right.
Yep, I totally agree with you there. Obviously, now moving on to the other results around Brentford and Blackburn. I mentioned it a little bit. I am a Forest fan. Obviously, I went to the game today. Luckily, got back in time to do the show tonight, which was good. We'll go on to Forest, obviously beating Ipswich. Another fantastic 3-0 win for Forest, with a Sombalonga with 2 goals and Chris Cohen with 1. Now, I'm not sure if you saw the game or because the highlights haven't been released yet. I think it was on Sky Sports, so you might have seen it. But we'll start with Ashley again. Ashley, Brits scored 14 goals this season. Now, Britt Sombalonga was injured last season, got a crucial ligament injury. Do you think he's a key player for Forest?
Very much so, yeah. I think he's probably one of the best players that Forest have got. Obviously, being a Peterborough fan, I knew what he was with us for a bit, and he absolutely tore League One apart. So, if you'd have gone down and kept him, you'd be straight back up. But I think he's a very good player for that level, and hopefully can push him on to better things.
Yeah, and obviously when he was at Peterborough, and obviously Forest bought him from Peterborough, how good of a player was he for Peterborough?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We wouldn't have got playoffs that year without him, and we've missed him ever since. We've not been able to replace. I can't remember how many exactly, but it was around 20, 25 goals that year. Top scorer in League One.
Because I can. I can remember. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I can remember when Forest signed him, and there was a lot of talk about him. And I watched some YouTube videos that a few Peterborough fans have made, and I thought this player was going to be fantastic. We obviously had Stuart Pearce as manager, which was a fantastic decision to bring him into the club. He was playing alongside Mikel Antonio. Obviously, Antonio now plays for West Ham. And they worked together fantastic, and Britt was just fantastic in that season. The first other season he was wonderful, and then obviously Forest sacked Stuart Pearce and replaced him with Dougie Freeman, and then it was Dougie's first game where Britt got injured, which was a crucial ligament injury, and as soon as he came off, we knew that was going to be at least a year out, which obviously it was, and returned this summer. We'll move on now, but we'll move on to talking about Forest. We'll go with Joe. Now, Joe, obviously Forest v Ipswich, Forest staying up in the Championship. What do you think they can do next season under Mark Warburton?
I think it depends which referees you get, because I was at that Forest Newcastle match, and I just say that was an absolute disgrace.
It was.
That was something else, that, especially with Carl Darlow saving them too. But anyway, I think that under Mark Warburton, if he brings what he did with Brentford when he was there getting the playoffs, he should be all right. But the whole Rangers debacle seems a bit, it sort of stained his managerial record. So I'm not really sure. But if you keep a Sombalonga and he stays fit, you'll be up there, because he's something else. Like, he's far too good for the bottom of the Championship.
Yeah,
far too good.
Yeah, we that's a point I raised today, Matt, in a few YouTube videos, is that Forest really need to keep hold of him and just make sure we don't sell him. And it's the same with young player Ben Brereton, who's 18 years old and has scored 5 this season, and has only played something like 10 games, something like that. So it's a fantastic record for Forest. We'll move on to Connor now, sticking with Forest Ipswich, but not talking about Forest. We're talking about Ipswich now. Ipswich season, it's been a bit of a disappointment. Obviously, Mick McCarthy's their manager, longest serving manager in the Championship. Thoughts on Ipswich seasons, Connor?
Poor. That's the only way to describe it. I mean, especially when we played them in the FA Cup, both games, very poor. But without Tom Lawrence, I think could have gone down from what I've seen. But yeah, it'll be depends if Mick will stay or if Mick will go. But we'll just see what happens in the summer for Ipswich.
Yeah, because that's obviously a key talking point for Ipswich now. Is the people behind that club have got to decide: is it right for Mick McCarthy to go? Obviously, Ipswich finished 16th, just above Bristol City, with just looking now 55 points. Obviously, Ipswich could have got dragged into it. Do you think Ipswich have been lucky to actually not get dragged into the relegation battle due to teams around them?
I reckon they picked up the points early on in the season when they needed to, which secured them. I mean, I think they was always going to finish bottom half, but I don't think relegation troubled them at any point. I think just had a really poor season and got the points early enough in the season to safety, really. So, but it's been a disappointing one overall for them.
Yeah. Now we'll move on to Birmingham. Obviously, another team around the relegation battle today in the Championship. Obviously, Blue secured it with a 1-0 victory over Bristol City. It could have been a fantastic season for Birmingham with Gary Rowett. Obviously, the new owners for Birmingham came in and sacked Rowett, which I thought was a terrible decision. We'll start with Joe on this one. Joe, first of all, thoughts on them sacking Gary Rowett?
Yeah, it was disgrace. I mean, they overperformed. I think Birmingham would be in 6th place at the time. And I don't think they would have got playoffs even with Rowett. But I just think hiring Zola, who hasn't done anything really in management yet, I don't understand the appointment. And then the appointment of Redknapp clearly has worked at the end of the season. It just seems a random appointment.
Yeah, because I can remember when Forest lost to QPR 2-0. I can remember I heard the news that Birmingham, Zola resigns, and I thought if Birmingham kept on to Zola and gave him stability to the end of the season, I think Birmingham could have been in a whole lot more trouble. Continuing with Joe. Joe, thoughts on Zola's few months at Birmingham?
Well, terrible. I think they went about, was it 15 games without winning?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and we played them twice in the FA Cup another time, and they were never, ever really looked like they were going to do anything in that league. And I think for their fans, they were so lucky that the owners managed to get rid of them at times. I think they would have went down, and depending on what they got next year, I think they could have kept going down as well, because they were in a real state under Zola.
Yeah. Do you think, because Zola proved himself at Watford and a few other clubs around the world, do you think that's damaged Zola's manager career?
Definitely. I can't see him going to another club like Birmingham, the size of the club and the city. I think he's got to go to Europe or maybe even somewhere like the MLS, just get some managing and get more success, because I think he's had it in England for the next 5 years or something.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic statement from you there. Moving on to Ashley. We'll get Connor involved in a minute. Ashley, now to Bristol City. Obviously, they've had a bit of a worrying season, come up last year. And obviously, Tammy Abrahams saved them. How good do you think he's been for Bristol City, Ashley?
I'm sorry, I completely missed the question because my internet was cutting out while you were talking.
Don't worry. We always have technical issues on TFF Talk. You should have seen us last week. Anyway, so the question was, how good of a player has Tammy Abraham been to Bristol City? Do you think he's kept him up this season?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's been best player by a mile. He's scored all the goals that have mattered to him, and I reckon he'll definitely be playing in the Premier League next year. Whether that be with one of the promoted clubs, current Premier League club, or even Chelsea themselves.
Yeah, that statement's led us on to the next topic, which we'll talk about in about a minute or so, which Joe can get involved on quite well. Anyway, we're going to talk about some teams further up in the table, sitting mid-table in the Championship, finish mid-table. The first one is, we'll start with Norwich. We could do with Danny on here tonight, but that's why I'm hosting tonight. Danny will be back tomorrow with the usual TFF talks, but Danny was unable to come on tonight for the Football League special. He's a Norwich fan, and obviously Norwich have had a very disappointing season. And obviously they sacked Alex Neil, and they've still got a caretaker manager in Alan Irvine. I think I don't know if I'm right. But we'll start with Connor. Now, Connor, who's going to replace Alex Neil, or do you think they're going to keep Alan Irvine?
I don't know too much about Norwich or the news around it, but people saying Gary Monk.
Yeah.
Would be a good appointment, him, but their season's been inconsistent. Just summed up the last 3 games. Not 7-1 Reading. The week after, get beat by Fulham. And today they beat QPR 4-0.
I know, yeah. It's one of them. Norwich were a team when Forest played them, where Norwich just seemed to hit it from anywhere, and it just went in. Obviously, they beat Forest 5-1, and they've had some fantastic results this season. Connor brings us nicely on to our next topic, which we'll start with Joe. We'll get Ashley in a minute. Joe, Gary Monk with the Leeds. Leeds obviously missing out on the playoffs. What's going to happen with his future? Do you think he's going to stay at the club?
Well, with Massimo Marcellino, anything could happen. I think if there was any other club, I think Gary Monk should be given at least another season, because from where they came from last year to just miss out in the playoffs is remarkable. But I don't know, with that owner, if he does get sacked, I think anyone in the Championship would take him, and anyone in the Championship would do well to take him and probably have a good season. But if I put my money on it, I'd say he'd be at Leeds another season, and I think they'll get playoffs next year.
Yeah, obviously Leeds have had some troubled seasons in the past. They've obviously got a new owner with half of the club, and then still I think they've got that Salino still having 50%. Obviously Leeds have done really well this season, but it's happened before where Forest missed out on the playoffs about 4 years ago with Billy Davis, and the owner, this was in the semi-final, we lost 4-1 on aggregate, sacked him. And I always look back and I think, if we'd kept Billy Davis that season, the next season I think we could have got promotion from the Championship, which is always a talking point. So we'll bring Ashley in on this one. Joe says that Leeds, if they keep Monk, could get playoffs next season. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, because he's building something good there. Like the way he's got them playing, with even he just maybe a bit more strengthening to a squad, so he can iron out the mistakes that cost him playoffs this year, and it could secure a playoff place very well, very early on, or even go further on and get automatics or win the title.
Yeah, that's a good statement there as well. Now moving on to, I think, which will be the key topic tonight, still in the Championship, and we're talking about the playoffs and Brighton and Newcastle. We're gonna start with, we'll go on then. We're gonna start with Joe. Joe, did you go to the game today?
Obviously, season ticket holder. Wow,
Yeah.
what a game!
I haven't obviously seen the clips. Did you pitch in vain?
No, we didn't. We were told not to, and to be fair, everyone was well behaved. We're just letting them get on with it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We're going to talk about pitch invasions in a second. But Joe, obviously the favourites were really Brighton to win the title today. Obviously Newcastle had Barnsley, but it was a tough decision who I thought was going to win the championship. But how pleased are you with Newcastle? With at the start of the season, they were a bit shaky. They had a bad few results. They were losing to some lower teams, and then they've completely turned it around, and obviously won the championship this year. How well do you think how good do you think they've done it this season? Or do you think there could have been improvement?
I think this at the beginning of the season, it was one of them ones where you think Fulham would never do well at Fulham, and then Huddersfield, obviously you know how good Huddersfield have been. It was a bit shaky, but as soon as we got that win against Reading, we never really looked back. I mean, Rafa signed key players for the championship. You know, there are some Premier League players in there, but the majority are championship players. And the last couple of months, maybe some of the results you think about, Leeds dropped points in the last minute, losing to Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich. Maybe some of them could have turned into victories, but with Newcastle, we never do it easily and just get the job done today. And even today was nervy. About half an hour in, just after our first goal, a massive cheer went round St James's because we thought Villa had scored. But I don't know if they had an offside. I don't know if they had a disallowed goal or whatever.
Yeah, I think it might have been disallowed. I'm not sure because I was so busy at Forest listening to the radio, keeping on eyes on Blackburn and Birmingham. But then we'll move on to Brighton now, and we'll aim this at we'll go Connor. Connor, obviously, Lincoln beat Brighton. And funny enough, I've got a funny story here. I was there at I was there. I wasn't there, but my family were there in Lincoln on the bank, and they heard all Lincoln fans cheering when they beat Brighton. Obviously, your thoughts on Brighton's season, as well as a bit about Lincoln, Connor?
I think good season. Chris Hughton, great manager. I like him as a manager. Got some key players in there. Murray, Steves as well. Knockout, great player for this level and maybe the Prem. But the last time have a big summer window if they want to stay up next year. But that was poor when they came to Sinselbank with, could say a reserve team, but there's some players in there what could championship quality. So.
Yeah, obviously, sorry about that, just a bit of another technical issue. Yeah, obviously, Brighton with Chris Hughton. How well do you think he's done with Brighton? Do you think he can keep him up in the Prem next season?
I hope so. If you come back to me in the summer when they've made a few, what happened in their window, and then I'll give him the answer then.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Obviously, we'll move swiftly on from this just because we can fit everything in before we can watch the Channel 5 highlights at 8 o'clock, which I'm sure we're all buzzing to watch. Obviously, we'll move on to League 1 and 2. Now, first of all, we've talked a bit about Sheffield United in previous episodes of TFF Talks. I don't know why I said that then in a strange way. Obviously, Sheffield United, their season's been just superb, hasn't it, Connor?
Yes, Bolton, they've had a great season. Billy Sharp. I think everything's just gone right for him, and hope to do well in the Championship next year. They deserve it. Good fans, good team, good overall football club. But speaking of League One, Millwall just taking the lead.
Yeah, I just saw that quickly pop up on my phone, that's why I moved on to League One. Thanks for informing me there. Obviously, it's Fleetwood Bradford in the second leg of the League One playoff semi-finals, and the same with Scunthorpe and Millwall. At the minute, Millwall are beating Scunthorpe 2-1. It's the same on aggregate, and at the minute it's 0-0 Fleetwood Bradford, but it's actually on aggregate 1-0 to Bradford, both in 54 minutes played. We'll go to Ashley. Obviously, you're a League One fan. Obviously, Peterborough. Now, who do you think's going to be in that playoff League One final?
Well, looking at it before it even started, I'd have said Bradford and Millwall, and it looks like it's coming through because obviously I've seen both of them play, and Fleetwood were decent, but I think Bradford one of the best teams I've seen play this year. Millwall were good as well, even though we beat them 5-1, but they're still a good side, so I'd expect them to get into a final.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good answer once again. Now, obviously, Bolton went up with Sheffield United. Like I say, Sheffield United managed to get 100 points with Bolton on 86. Now we're going to talk about all the clubs from 3rd to 6th in League One. We'll start with Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe, obviously, like I say, just in the playoff semi-final, obviously losing. Do you think they could pull it back now? We'll go to Joe. Do you think they could pull it back? I don't know if you're a League One fan. Do you think they could pull it back and try and turn it around at Millwall, bearing in mind it's the second leg?
Normally, I'm not a League One fan, but some of the articles I've written have got to do with League One. And Scunthorpe had a brilliant start, and then since about January, they've just been rubbish. I think they've lost a load. I think Millwall are a good side, and I think Millwall will win. I just think that, especially with just the FA Cup run, I think's got them on a big hype, and they've clearly do it in big matches this season.
Yeah,
I think the Wembley place is theirs.
Yeah, and obviously, we're going to talk about our own clubs, and then we're going to move on to the pitch invasion topic, which is just a little extra. We've already spoke a little bit about our own clubs. We'll start with Ashley on Peterborough. You've got three minutes to describe Peterborough's season and rant about it. Off you go.
Well, if it was in one word, I wouldn't be able to use that word. But
Yeah.
It's not been very good. With
No.
Just same again. Fell off after January. Good run in the cup. Lost in the cup, and then it just all collapsed, and we ended up mid-table. And again, just too inconsistent. Losing to teams like Bury and Oldham. Just really, really poor. Need a lot of reshaping, restructuring, and new signings. Already got one in Ricky Miller, which I'm buzzing about, but a few more, and hopefully get into the playoffs next year.
Yeah, we're going to read out just before we move back on to Peterborough a little bit. We're going to move onto a few comments we've had in the chat section. Now, if you just let me load them up. We've got one from Essay, which is back to Brighton. He says, speaking of Brighton, will Anthony Knockaert finally play in the Premier League? Do you think he'll be played? Sorry, I didn't say who that was going to. I'll let anyone jump in on this. So first one to jump in.
I think because he's one of Brighton's key players, so he'll obviously have a big role in that squad unless they bring someone in to replace him. But I can't see him doing that, and he'll have a big part to play, and hopefully he can prove himself at that level. Yeah.
Remember to keep the comments coming on the YouTube live section. Now we're going to move on to another club of our panellist. We'll go to Connor. We spoke, I think it was the last TFF episode where me, you and Danny were on about Lincoln. Do you want to do a bit of a season review on them, like Ashley just did?
I'm the opposite of Ashley. I'd be here all night, but
well, I tell you what we'll do.
Speechless season.
We'll do just describe it in one word.
Speechless.
Yeah. Obviously, Lincoln promoted back to the Football League. How well do you think they're going to do in League Two, Connor?
Personally, I think top half with Rod Investor came in a few years back. He's backing us a bit next season, so I reckon top half finish is what we'll be expecting, and so a bit of the board. So top half finish, I'll be happy with that, or mid-table.
Yep. And we'll go to Joe. We've obviously spoke a little bit about Newcastle. Joe, you sum Newcastle season in one word.
Rafa. That'll do.
And obviously we spoke about today's game. How well do you think they're going to do in the Premier League next season?
If Rafa gets money from Mike Ashley, honestly, I think the sky's the limit. It showed last year where he went 8 games unbeaten at the end of the season with a team who had been absolutely poor the whole season. So I'd hope for a mid-table finish and maybe a nice cup run like we had this year, but maybe get the semi-finals or final.
Yep.
And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yep. We'll go on to my club. Obviously, I'm the host. I don't really want to rant about Forest that much. I'll sum Forest season up in one word. Crazy, I'm going to go for. Mainly because we started well, we dropped down, and we've gone back up again, and managed to somehow drag ourselves out of this relegation mess. Today, Forest stayed up against Ipswich. I was there at the game, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I think the players just need to perform next season, and if, like Joe said, if Mark Warburton gets the right players in and we get the right structure in at the club, I'll hope for mid-table, just outside the playoffs maybe, and even sneaking into the playoffs, doing really well. So it's a mixed opinion, really. Now we're going to talk about, we've got about 10 minutes left, probably about 8, so we all get a chance to watch the highlights. Now we'll talk about pitch invasions. I'll start this one off.
Can I quickly interrupt you?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Millwall just scored another 3-1.
Right,
So I
okay.
think that's them confirmed in the final.
Cheers, thank you, Connor. Our little live update scorer today. Yeah, he's like Jeff Stelling. So obviously Bradford still remain 1-0 up on aggregate, and Millwall 3-1 up. That's away at Scunthorpe with 61. They're playing both games in 62 minutes. As I was saying, pitch invasions. I'll lead this one on today. It's a bit of a funny, unusual, unique topic to talk about. First of all, Forest fans today on the pitch. I have to admit I did go on the pitch. I think I was actually in the first 50, I'd say. And if you didn't see, make sure you go on my Instagram, MaxNFFC, because there was a video of me cheering on Sky Sports on the pitch, and I look like a right muppet. But we'll talk about pitch invasions now. We'll go to Joe. Obviously, Newcastle didn't pitch invades when they were promoted, and like you say today, none of them pitch invaded today. Do you agree with pitch invasions?
I don't really know, because unfortunately Newcastle we don't have anything to pitch invade about. We haven't for about 20 years. But I remember one at Gateshead a few years ago when they got the playoff final. And as long as it's something, it doesn't happen all the time. And if it's at the end of the season, if you stay up or whatever, I think it's fine. It's just when the players start getting surrounded, it's when it might turn nasty. Oh,
yeah, I have to admit, when Forest went on the pitch today, like I said, I was one of the first 50 on probably, and Zach Clough was walking off. Former Bolton player, joined us in January. I gave him a hug, and there was security around him. I got pushed off a bit from security, which is fair enough because I know they're trying to protect the players. Going to Ashley now. Have you ever pitch invaded for Peterborough?
Yeah, a few times. When we stayed up. I think we stayed up 1 year in a pitch invader. Then 2 times. Yeah, the time we went up automatically from League Two, and then after the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then last year I was in the Burnley end for the game when they won promotion back to the Premier League, so I pitch invaded with them.
No, so you pitch invaded with Burnley?
Yeah, because I got free tickets to that game for uni, so I went and I just thought, pitch invasion, why not?
Fantastic, you know. It made me laugh today because I saw a lot of pictures. It's talking about pitch invasions. There was some, obviously, you know, Forest rivals are Derby and Leicester. There was some Derby and Leicester fans with their shirts on in the Ipswich end today, cheering on Ipswich and cheering on the other teams to try and relegate Forest, which made me laugh. Back to pitch invasions, just a quick little funny message there. Obviously, we'll go to Connor. Did you pitch invade when Lincoln went up to League Two?
Yeah, I was got on there in the end. Just got to the game 5 minutes late as I finished work at 12. But yeah, got on the pitch in the end, and really to a certain extent, it depends on what. I'm not gonna have a dig at you for a Forest fan, but
No, don't
team
worry.
who underachieved this season could say, and went on the pitch for celebrating that and just missing out on getting relegation.
I totally.
Too keen on that.
I totally agree with you there. I think Forest were just happy because we've obviously had a lot of speculation off the pitch about owners, and I think Forest fans were just glad that we were staying up. And I think Forest haven't pitch invaded since 2007. That was when we won promotion from League One back to the Championship. And you know what? I thought to myself, do you know what? Let's do it. I was only about 4. I was 4 when. I was 6. I was 6. Yeah, when Forest got promotion back to the Championship. So obviously I didn't start supporting Forest till I was about 7. So I missed out on that a little bit. But I thought, you know what? Why not? There was a lot of police trying to stop you get on, but we had a party, we had a laugh, and I think Forest just wanted to get on with next season, and hopefully we get a good summer. Obviously, closing the pitch invasion topic now, we are gonna we're gonna go back to the Championship because we've had more time than I thought, and we're gonna go to obviously the playoff semi-final. Playoff semi-finals, where if I just get the fixtures up for you now. So obviously Fulham, Reading, Huddersfield and Sheffield Wednesday all in the playoffs. The first legs, Fulham v Reading, 5:30, Saturday the 13th of May. We're going to go around for score predictions on this one. We'll start with Joe. Joe, who score prediction for Fulham Reading playoff semi-final?
3-1 Fulham.
And what about the second leg?
Maybe 1-1. I think Fulham will go through.
Right, okay. We'll go. We'll stay with Fulham and Reading. We'll go to Ashley. Fulham and Reading score prediction.
2-0 Fulham first leg and 1-0 Reading second leg.
Right, so you're going on a 2-1 aggregate. And Connor, Fulham Reading score prediction.
2-0 Fulham in the first leg, then 0-0.
Right, very, very good predictions from you there. Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday, 12 o'clock, Sunday the 14th of May. We'll start with Gio, Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday score prediction.
1-1 first leg, and then I think Sheffield Wednesday will scrape it 1-0 in the second leg.
Yep, and Ashley, Huddersfield Wednesday.
1-0 first leg, and then 2-1 Sheffield Wednesday second leg.
And Connor.
Sticking with the 1-1 first leg, and then Sheffield Wednesday in extra time in the second leg.
Very good from you there. Obviously, we're gonna do the outcome of your predictions. We'll put Fulham and Wednesday in the playoff final. Score predictions on that, starting with Connor.
It's going to be close. I enjoyed watching Fulham this year. Glad to see him just make the playoffs, but I think overall Wednesday will have too much, and it's going to be 2-1 Wednesday. I'll go with.
Yeah, I have a few Wednesday fans. They were cheering on Forest today. I'd like to see them go up because obviously they missed out last year against Hull. We'll go back to Ashley. Score prediction if it was Fulham and Sheffield Wednesday in the final.
2-2 Sheffield Wednesday on penalties.
Right, and last but not least, Sheffield Wednesday Fulham predicted playoff final. Score prediction on that, Joe?
I think Fulham will win 3-1.
Right, very mixed, different. If you want to see those games, they are all on Sky Sports if you're interested watching. Well, the time has flown. It is 1 minute to 8, and we're going to bring you with the closing headlines for the TFF show. Blackburn are relegated despite win at Brentford. Blackburn are relegated to League One on goal difference despite beating Brentford after Nottingham Forest and Birmingham win. Newcastle seal championship title after Brighton slip up. Newcastle clinched the championship title with victory over Barnsley after Brighton conceded a late equaliser at Aston Villa. Forest beat Ipswich to secure survival. Britta Malonga scores twice as Nottingham Forest cruise past Ipswich Town to avoid relegation on goal difference. Redknapp's Blues beat Bristol City to seal safety. Che Adams' goal beats Bristol City to ensure championship survival for Harry Redknapp's Birmingham. And relegated Wigan hold Leeds to draw. The time has come very quick, and that's the end of the show. Very quick show indeed. A massive thank you to Ashley. Ashley, a massive thank you to you.
Oh, cheers.
And Connor and Connor and Joe. I tell you what we'll do now is we'll go onto your socials. So starting with Joe, leave us your Twitter name.
At 16 Joe Buck.
And obviously Joe, part of the TFF team, writes some fantastic articles. So make sure you go and do check his ones out on the Football Forecast website. Connor, leave us with your Twitter.
At Connor52Rebel.
And yeah, make sure you go and check out Connor's writing skills, and obviously TFF non-league. And Ashley?
At 4P96.
And Ashley, am I right? You film for BT Sport?
Yep.
And
Macclesfield. So.
Yeah, so make sure you go on. If you see some highlights of Macclesfield on Sky or wherever, you never know, it could be Ashley behind the camera. It's been a very busy day for the Championship and the Football League. It's all over now. That's the whole season done. We'll bring you the whole of TFF Talks tomorrow, which Danny will host. I hope to be on there. I'm not sure if I will be on the panel or not yet. And I don't know if any of you guys will, but that's just the normal TFF Talks. Back tomorrow at 7 till 8 with your usual host, Danny. This show is sponsored by Crowther Media and brought to you by this show is sponsored by Classic 11 Shirts and brought to you by Crowther Media. All links, as always, are in the description below. I'm very exhausted. I'm ready for bed. I'm sure everyone is, and I'm sure Joe is, and myself, because I've been pitch invading, and Joe's obviously saw Newcastle win the title. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.